Hey guys, welcome back to the NFL Addict. Today we are going to be predicting the score for every single game in the 2020 NFL Division round of the playoffs. So go ahead and get hyped. We're so close to that Super Bowl. I can just feel it. We've only got 8 teams left. We're down to the Great 8, as they call it, and then we got the Final 4. I know that's a basketball thing, but still, it sounds a lot better than the Divisional round. And yeah, so as you know, if you're from my other videos, I'm not going to do a lock of the week for the playoffs just because, I mean, next week there's only 2 games. For the Super Bowl, there's only 1. But I mean, I won't even be doing a prediction video for the Super Bowl. I'll do a whole big preview thing. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with the Packers and the Rams. This is one that a lot of people are expecting to be a blowout. A lot of people are saying the Rams got a little fluky win last week and that, you know, they'll go back to their quote-unquote normal form this week. I don't think that'll be the case. I think it should actually be a pretty good game. You look at the Rams, I'm pretty sure Jared Goff will be in full health. He looked pretty bad last week, but he didn't look absolutely horrendous. And I think, you know, with another full week to sit there and recover, I think he will be just fine in this one. And the Packers, it has mainly been all offense for them. Their offense, which is not necessarily a bad thing because their offense obviously has carried them to this point. The #1 team in the NFC East, not NFC East, NFC for a reason. They have one of the best, possibly the best offense, not the best, but possibly arguably a top 3 offense in this league, and that has carried them here. But they're going to be going up against a pretty tough opponent in the Rams defense, which really, I mean, like I was saying last week, Jared Goff did not play very well. It was mainly that defense stepping up and playing some of the best football we've seen the Rams play. So I think, you know, the Rams really definitely, they're obviously underdogs for reasons that, you know, everyone kind of knows at this point. Their offense has been a pretty big weakness. But all I'm saying is the Rams, I think, you know, their defense could, you know, be a pretty big factor and could dampen the Packers like it did the Seahawks last week. It could, you know, make it close. And that offense, as Jared Goff is up to full health, if he, you know, steps it up, that offense plays to like the best of its ability. I'm not saying, you know, it's going to be insanely like the Rams won, but I'm just saying I think it could be a pretty close game. I think it could be a pretty low-scoring game too. I think it'll either be a pretty low-scoring game or maybe the Packers run away with it. Either way, I do still think that the Packers will get the win here. I am just saying I do not think, I know my score may not look like it's a close game, but I definitely do believe that it will be a lot closer, maybe in play-wise. I just think this will be the score. I think maybe it could be 23-27. The Packers score a touchdown, you know, with the last second. I don't know. I think it'll be a pretty close game. However, my score is not going to show that, mainly because I do have to take into account how badly the offense has been playing. I'm just saying they could keep it close, and it's not going to be a 20-point win for the Packers. That'll be a pretty long shot. But next up, we have the Bills and the Ravens. This is another one that people are not saying it's going to be, you know, a big blowout, but this is one that people are saying, oh, it's the Bills. 100% the Bills. No chance for the Ravens. Have you seen the Ravens these past couple weeks? Now, last week wasn't one of their best games. Last week they did get a win against a really good Titans team, but their offense kind of fell off. Only scoring 20 points on a Titans defense that was having one of its worst games, not worst, one of its badder games, I guess. I don't want to say worse, because, you know, that I don't know. It was a pretty bad game last week, and they only managed to score 20 points. Their defense did do enough, which is kind of what they were doing earlier in the season. We saw the Ravens kind of flip. Earlier in the season, they were mainly defense, and now later in the season, they were mainly offense. Now they've gone to the playoffs, and now they're kind of forming back into the defense team. I'm just going to assume they're going to be a pretty good team. Look at what they have, and I mean, the Bills, in my opinion, in my power rankings, I had them #1, and that was for a reason. We saw last week the Colts were playing probably one of their best games we've seen them play. On defense, they were playing lights out. They held the high-powered Bills offense to only 27 points, and that offense was playing really well. And we saw the Bills manage to get the win over that. Meanwhile, the Ravens had, I mean, if the Titans had been playing at, you know, what they had been at the top, like at their peak of their season this year, the Titans could have easily beaten the Ravens, but no, the Titans having a rough game. So, looking at that last game, I can kind of see why people will be saying that the Ravens get blown out. But looking at the rest of the season, especially the last couple of weeks, probably last, you know, 4 weeks of the season, the Ravens are definitely going to keep it close in this one. In the end, I do think the Bills will get the win here, 38-35. I've been talking way too long about these games. I know you don't want to sit here and watch a 20-minute long video about 4 games. That would get insanely boring, even for me. Next up, we have the Chiefs versus the Browns. Again, another one that people are, all 4 of these games, and we'll get to the next one, people are saying are going to be blowouts. People are not excited for this divisional round, and I am. Now, this is one I can kind of see, because while, yes, the Browns did score a whole heck of a lot of points last week. That had a lot to do with their defense that was going up against Big Ben, who threw 4 interceptions in that game, and they got a couple fumbles, and that Steelers offense has been pretty weak even whenever they were winning 11 in a row. The offense really didn't do much, and plus, looking at the last 3 quarters, it was 37-20 the Steelers. I mean, really, the Browns won 1 quarter, and then it all went downhill from there, and they almost choked. So that Browns win, it was very, very impressive. Like, looking at, if you just look at the score, it looks pretty impressive. However, that defense played really well in the first half, and then it all kind of fell apart. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they're not, they're on a roll right now, obviously. They're 14-1 with their starting lineup. However, most of those, I think like 6 of them, were all like in the last bit of the season where they were playing down to their opponents. I mean, we saw that last week where they had our starters in was only a 3-point win, 17-14 win over a 4-12 Falcons team that really should have been a massive blowout. And I know that the Falcons are definitely better than their record, but I mean, come on. So I definitely think the Browns do have a chance to keep it close if their defense can put a dampen on Patrick Mahomes, who I think he only had like a 68 quarterback rating against the Falcons defense, so the Browns could definitely have a shot at this one. I am still going to have to hand it to the Chiefs, though, in a 8-point win. It's still only a 1-score game, but still about as big as it can be. The Chiefs will get the win here and move on to face the Buffalo Bills in the NFL Conference Championship if things go the way they planned, the way I plan. For all they're playing in it, so don't take me for a liar. Next up is the Saints and the Buccaneers. This is one that, yes, some people are calling for it to be a blowout, but most people are saying it's not. Because you look at the past 2 meetups, the Saints and the Buccaneers, obviously they're both in the NFC South. They played twice this season. Both were pretty heavy wins for the Saints. In both of those games, really, they embarrassed the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers played worse against the Saints than the quarterbackless Broncos did. The Buccaneers and the Broncos scored the same amounts of points. But the Broncos had a wide receiver at quarterback, and also the Buccaneers defense let up more points than the Broncos defense did when they were playing basically for nothing because they didn't have a quarterback. But I think that this one will be a pretty close matchup because we saw last week playoff Brady is here. He played really well last week against a really tough Washington defense. He had I think he had 7 20-plus yard passes. He looked really, really good. He managed to pull off a surprisingly pretty close win against Washington last week. So I would not, if I'm a Saints fan, I want to say, hey, look at those past 2 games. This one's really going to be a blowout. No, I would not. I would not look at those. If anything, Brady's going to be looking to prove something. Because, look at these other weeks. People are like, hey, what does Brady have to prove? That he's good without Belichick? I mean, what do we need? He has been blown out twice by this team. I think it'd be better for the Saints if they had beaten them twice. If the Buccaneers had beaten the Saints twice. No, they might not be at this point in the playoffs. But whatever. I'm just saying, Brady's going to be mad, and I'd be kind of worried. However, that Saints defense does seem to be kryptonite for Brady. I mean, they have been holding him to the 27 points in both games combined. I don't know. It wasn't any good. So yeah, I would also take those 2 blowouts into account when I say, hey, I think it will be a pretty close game. And also that Saints offense is insane. Drew Brees is now, last week he looked like he was 100%. Now that offense wasn't insane. They were going up against a Bears defense that was good enough to carry them to the playoffs with one of the worst offenses in the league, in my opinion. So, that wasn't too much their fault. So, still, I do think it'll be a really close game. However, I am going to have to give it to the Saints and say that they will be going to the conference championship to play the Packers next week. I like how in all these I said people say it's going to be a blowout, and then I picked it to be the team that everyone's saying is going to blow and win. So thank you so much for watching this video. We will start now posting videos every single day. I kind of took a break there from posting every single day because there wasn't any Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, or Washington game. So it's okay. 3 videos a week is fine. My video analytics say they're not. So I will now be doing that weekly NFL thing that I was doing before the season. That'll probably be up on my channel by now, but you don't care about that at all. You just want me to end the video. You probably already clicked off unless you're like a relative of mine. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe. I hope to see you